Hey everyone, I'm Karen Fenter, your host on the remarkable journey No Passport Required, where we bring you the most innovative business solutions from resilient and persistent entrepreneurs who built a bridge into the new era when faced with unprecedented and sudden lockdown challenges. Every episode is an interview with a new business owner who will be sharing what they've done to successfully navigate their journey through this time and how they overcame the enormous hurdles they faced. This series is dedicated to you, the determined entrepreneur. But first, a quick message from our sponsor. This episode of the Remarkable Journey No Passport Required is brought to you by the Revenue Breakthrough Pivot Program. Do you feel that you have an amazing business that you believe in with everything inside you, but it's just not bringing in the kind of money you know it has the potential to make? And you're not sure how to make the switch from barely surviving or just surviving on the hamster's wheel to really thriving financially with a business that enables you to build the life you love. Imagine the relief of not having to figure it out on your own, not wasting time and money trying things that aren't effective, but instead having the steps you need to achieve that already all mapped out for you. The Revenue Breakthrough Pivot Program is designed to accelerate growth in your business and to help you explore new ideas and new ways of doing things to ensure that your business is relevant and thriving. Our 14-week online program provides you with the roadmap and personal support on the journey to strengthening your financial position and creating financial security in your business so that you can have the life you love and the life that your business was meant to provide for you and your family. So now for the interesting stuff. Now for our guest, Adrian Silversmith. So Adrian and Casey Silversmith are the owners of Sprelly in Fredericksburg. Sprelly is the new way to PB&J, and I had to learn what PB&J was. It took me a couple of seconds to kind of figure it out because it's not a term we use here. They produce a line of gourmet nut butters, spreads, and jellies. Each Sprelly spread and Sprelly jelly can mix and match in various ways, creating exponential options that elevate your PB&J experience. All you got to do is choose your spread and choose your jelly. Initially inspired by a visit to a frozen yogurt shop, Sprelly was pitched at a local business plan contest in 2013. Shortly thereafter, Adrian was unexpectedly let go from his long-term sales job. As Casey maintained her full-time career to support their family, Adrian borrowed money from his parents and they started making peanut butter at home. Starting in 2014, they sold Sprelly gourmet nut butters at local farmers markets, events, and festivals, and have since grown to become a regionally recognized brand in the Fredericksburg, DC, and Richmond areas. So welcome, huge welcome to you, Adrian. I'm really super excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us and sharing your story.
Well, thank you for inviting us or having Sprelly on your show. And quite honestly, this is my first video podcast interview, so this is exciting for us and for me. So thank you for having.
Awesome. Well, you're my first PB&J manufacturer on the show, so it's exciting for me as well. And I just love your concept. I love the innovation, the different flavors. I'm just really excited by it. So I'm really excited to hear how the whole journey has been for you. It's an interesting transition that you've had to make because you say that you were in sales previously.
Yep.
And you kind of suddenly, that all changed kind of overnight for you. How was that for you transitioning from sales into being a business owner, and not just a business owner, but being somebody who is manufacturing food? How was that for you?
Well, it was, yeah, I would say it was more about the choice to become happy. I have always been an entrepreneur at heart. And I mean, for as long as I can remember, I've been doing little side business things and side gigs, but I would have a job of some sort that was my main source of income. And the stretch of work that we had done, or that I was doing as a salesperson, employed salesperson, it was great. I mean, we were able to kind of set some roots down here in Fredericksburg, Virginia. But I felt like I was lacking something. And so after, 8 years of that job, and I found it as a very fortunate occurrence that I was let go from that job, and simultaneously being inspired with this idea. It was one of those, okay, I'm in this moment in my life where I can either give it a go and try to work for myself and try to support myself, or I can just go find another job, because I've been having jobs. I know what having a job was like, and I've always wanted to kind of work for myself and start my own business. The fact that it turned into a food company and a food manufacturing, that I think that just has to do with I love food. I love eating. I love experiencing, different foods from around the world and all sorts of things. So it just was, it happened to be one of those perfect alignments of, I was inspired at a food place and I love thinking about food, getting let go from a job and then saying, all right, maybe I can come up with something that ties all this stuff together. So it was exciting. I was excited to do it. I wasn't quite nervous. It was one of those, this will be probably the only time in my life that I can give this an honest shot. So let's see what it's about. And I took that leap, and I'm so glad I did that. I haven't looked back since.
So awesome. I mean, it sounds as though it was just the right thing for you, that everything kind of fell into place, as though everything aligned for you in the universe and set you up for that moment, because you'd already had that idea kind of a week before,
Right.
and you'd already been inspired. So what was it in the ice cream shop that inspired you? I'm really curious to know.
So they had a peanut butter flavored frozen yogurt. And I was like, I'll try that. That sounds good, because you can get little samples from each flavors and try them out. And my two daughters were running around trying different samples. So I tried the peanut butter flavored frozen yogurt, and it was delicious. And as I was eating it, I was watching the line of people going to each individual, you know, frozen yogurt lever and filling their cups. And I'm like, wow, people love frozen yogurt. I wonder if people love different flavored peanut butters, And then it just started going, because I'm eating the peanut butter flavored frozen yogurt. And I'm like, okay, what if you had different flavored peanut butters? And then what if you added different jams and jellies and made all these crazy combinations? And well, what if you threw in like bananas and bacon when you make a sandwich? And the idea just kept going and going, and it didn't like stop. And so that night, I was just sitting in my garage having a beer while everyone's going to bed. And I'm like, all right, well, what would you call this? Like, what do you do with peanut butters? You spread them, right? You spread peanut butters usually on. And what do you do with jellies? Oh, you just put okay, and then Sprelly. It just happened, spread and jelly. So it was the trip after the frozen yogurt shop, and an hour or so in the garage before I went to bed, and the whole idea was born.
Wow, it's really just incredible where ideas come from, and the all the creativity that goes into it, and all the inspiration that goes into it. I think you have to, as an entrepreneur, feel inspired and passionate about what you do, and it's obvious that you're passionate about what you do. So on that topic of inspiration and how you were inspired, I mean, I get inspired looking at your website and seeing all the different flavors. Um, I was just saying earlier, if I didn't live so far away, I'd probably order at least one of, I'm not even kidding, I'm actually not even kidding, one of every single flavor, especially the nut butters, because I'm vegetarian and so I love nuts. And probably two of the white chocolate almond butter.
That's our best selling flavor.
Is
That
it
one.
really? Wow.
Yeah.
So I just love the variety of flavors and the innovation that's gone into the flavors. It's not just the same old thing.
Right.
Where did those ideas and kind of combinations, even your jams and jellies are really incredibly creative. Where did those ideas come from?
Well, it was a combination of, a lot of research and development at first, because different flavored and styles of peanut butters and almond butters, that's a big market, and that exists, and that's happening. So initially I was researching what was out there and then what wasn't out there. And so I kind of derived those things and go, all right, well, if there's a dark chocolate peanut butter, is there a white chocolate almond butter? And I couldn't find one. And so that's how it initially got started. And then it was just a matter of playing around with the recipes over time and getting customer feedback, and hearing about other types of flavors and seasonality. So we have in the fall a harvest spiced peanut butter, so it's kind of like a pumpkin spiced flavored peanut butter. And it's just a matter of experimenting with different tastes. And then in our case, it was customer feedback, and what are you looking for in a peanut butter? Do you like sweet stuff, savory stuff, all natural stuff? And we actually have, even though you see our 7 nut butter spreads and 7 jams and jellies, we actually have about 14 or so, or 18 different flavors for each. And I've had to, over time, cut back the amount of flavors, because as an entrepreneur, and as I've been going through this journey, one thing I'm very keen on is that you have to be focused. And for me, that's one of my biggest weaknesses, because I'm always big picture. I have a billion different ideas and how they all can tie together. And everybody else I talk to, they're like, yo, you gotta slow down and focus down, so I've had to focus everything down to what you currently see on the website, which are 14 total flavors, 7 spreads and 7 jellies. But the idea is to get up into a couple dozen and offer seasonalities as well. So the flavor development, that's just been a journey in of itself, with a lot of people involved. So it's been a journey, as all things.
It's so incredible. So many of the things that you've just said are really kind of noteworthy for entrepreneurs, and they're real pearls of wisdom. Focus is one of them. Focus is paramount. And do you know that many entrepreneurs, this is normal with entrepreneurs, have shiny object syndrome? And it's exactly what you've just described, where they're excited about everything. They have so many ideas, but
Right.
it's easy to lose focus. And this is the shiny object syndrome, exactly
Right.
what you've described. I want to do this and I want to do that, and I've got this amazing idea, because you're so inspired and you're so passionate. But it's really important to focus, get what you're doing up to speed to where you want it to be, and then you can implement other ideas. So I think that's a really wise decision that you made. I also really appreciated what you said about talking to your customers when it came to flavors. This is really important. Feedback from customers is paramount in business. We need to be giving our customers what it is they want. After
Right.
all, that's why we're in business, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
So that was a real kind of little pearl of wisdom
Thank
from
you.
you. And also, you mentioned doing research. This is also critical, not only when you're starting a business, but at every point in your business, you need to continuously be doing research and making sure that you stay on top of things. So I love the fact that you have a product which has something very unique about it. You found a unique space in the market, really, because you're providing something that other peanut butter manufacturers are not doing. And this is really exciting and amazing and so creative to me.
Well, thank you.
My pleasure. Adrian, I wanted to ask you, you've mentioned that you're in Fredericksburg. Just remind
Virginia.
me the other two places.
So Washington, D.C. and
DC
Richmond.
and Richmond.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so Washington, D.C. is the capital of the country, and Fredericksburg is about 1 hour south. It's about 50 miles, and then Richmond, which is the capital of Virginia, is about 1 hour south of Fredericksburg. So
Okay, so you're basically within a kind of radius. You have a kind of radius. And I'm interested to know from you, Adrian, is there a reason you haven't gone beyond that particular radius? Do you want to kind of keep it very personal? I'm very interested in that.
so that's a can of worms right there. Uh, and it honestly gets tied into kind of the overall story. So starting off in 2014, 2015, we went to all of these local weekend farmers markets and festivals and everything we could find that was in a relatively okay driving distance. And so over time, that just turned into this radius with Fredericksburg in the middle, and it's like 100 miles, so we have a 50 miles east, west, north, and south. And we just got there, and those weekend events and festivals became kind of our backbone of the business. It was the revenue coming in, the cash coming in. It just kind of allowed us to just, oh, okay, this works. Like the idea works. I don't have to get a job. I can do this, and this is great. And then the concept of the when I pitched at the business plan contest was to have a worldwide chain of PB&J related places, because I was talking about there was frozen yogurt shops, there are donut shops, there are coffee shops. Here in America, you can go get chicken sandwiches and hamburgers. I mean, there are specialty places for food, but nothing about PB&J. So that was the idea, and to do it through sandwiches and other PB&J related foods that you can consume on site, like a sandwich shop or a restaurant or a deli. So 2016, I had an opportunity to open up a really small lunch counter space in downtown Fredericksburg. And I never opened a sandwich shop. I've never run a restaurant. I don't have food industry experience, but we opened up anyway because the goal is to have a large franchise of these things. Well, learned a whole bunch, and the following year we won some awards. We got in as the best locally owned sandwich shop in the middle part of Virginia, and that was like in a really nice Virginia Living magazine. So we did that, I think, for 2 years, 2017, 2018. And I had reached out to a franchising organization about my concept. I said, I'm a startup. I'm this little hole in the wall. It's just like 250 square feet lunch counter that's inside this beautiful gift store. So it's like a shared space, but my idea is gourmet PB&J and have it all over the place. And eventually they came to visit and learned about the story, and they loved the concept. So they had offered me a franchise consulting agreement to help franchise the concept. So it was one of those, oh my gosh, I just pitched this whole thing at this competition after I got let go from a job. And now I have it, like, but I don't have restaurant experience and I don't have the capital or the resources. And I don't think anyone's going to invest in me because I'm still kind of doing these farmers market things. So we tried, we reached out to investors. We were just, someone help us, someone help us. This is what we're trying to do. And as we were getting the story out, we were invited by the National Peanut Board, which is an educational nonprofit that helps the whole peanut industry and peanut farmers and technology. They do the big fancy food show in New York City, where that attracts worldwide attention, this big show. I mean, there are food vendors all around the world that go to this to present their latest product, to pick up buyers and distribution and, you know, all that good stuff. And of course, it's a good opportunity for small guys to get exposure. So in 2018, they said, hey, we've heard about you guys. We see what you're doing and the concept's great, and come with us, be in our booth at no cost, but showcase what you're all about. Well, at the time, I was only doing the plastic tubs of peanut butter at the farmers markets and then operating the sandwich shop. So they said, you can't present those plastic farmers market tubs. You have to have a more polished look. And as what you see on the website, we have now our jarred concept, but that's probably our third, fourth, fifth version of it. So 1 week before the summer 2018 Fancy Food Show in New York City, we had completed those jars. It was like our prototype jars, and we displayed that. And at that show, or at that event, we were interviewed by USA Today and Entrepreneur Magazine for what the product was, and they tasted it, and then eventually they wrote up about the 14 trendiest items at the Fancy Food Show, and they listed Sprelly and, you know, a couple other articles like that. So now I'm sitting after that event for like the next year going, well, if I try to sell my jars, I can then get more wholesale distribution and I can get more exposure, because right now those farmers market tubs are limiting me to that 50-mile radius from Fredericksburg. So we've been going through multiple pivots, and it's kind of a long-winded answer to your question. But we've been going through multiple pivots, which was also a brand discovery for us. So we were trying to figure out what it is that we're trying to do, because the goal is to make it a big company, big brand. And that's always been the goal. So we had to make a couple hard decisions. And I say that we are suspending our sandwich making operations. So we closed down that part of it. And now we're actually right now we're in the middle of about to move into a building. So we're going to have our own standalone place downtown, and it'll be somewhere where we can really produce and really start this distribution. Because again, what you saw on the website, those jars, that's turned into everything I've learned over 5 years from where to grow.
That's awesome. You know, it's a journey. I was going to say life is a journey. Life is a journey, but business is a journey. It's not an overnight process. And I think that everything that you're describing, although different people have different series of events in their businesses, it all sounds kind of pretty normal. You've just been going through a learning phase. I mean, it takes time to learn and establish yourself and get things in the kind of place that you need them to be in to expand. And I think it's about timing, Adrian, when the time is right. And as you say, now you're moving into a building. So you started off making the peanut butters yourself with a grinding machine. That's amazing. Have you now outsourced the manufacture so that you're able to manufacture bigger amounts, or are you guys still doing it yourselves?
We're still doing it ourselves. The goal is to have a gourmet peanut butter and jelly factory.
Wow.
but the equipment we're using is like it's small scale commercial, but we can still make an impact. Now, the goal or the hope is that, yeah, sure, if Whole Foods or some large corporation, Walmart, gets wind of what we're doing, yeah, we'll probably have to go find a large scale manufacturer to help. But uh, what we're aiming to do right now is to become our own gourmet PB&J factory.
Awesome. So you are working towards your goal. And I think that's the important thing, is to just bear in mind that everything you do is bringing you closer to that goal. Things in business don't always happen in our time. Sometimes they happen in their own time. And particularly with the past year, we've gone through so many really big changes, all of us in the world, and business has gone through so many big changes. Um, and it's been difficult for a lot of businesses to survive without pivoting. It's been important to pivot and to change distribution models and just change various things in their
Yes.
businesses. So what I would love to know from you is, what did you do during this period to make sure that you were on top of things?
So we have been continuing going to those weekend farmers markets and all those events. And as I was trying to figure out what are we doing with ourselves and the business, and how can we realize a larger audience, um, it was you know what? I just lost my train of thought. What could you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
Sure. So, no problem. So during the whole pandemic time,
Yes.
this past year, all the challenges, how did you stay on top of things in your business during
Got
that
it.
time?
All right. So yes. So during the pandemic, those weekend events, those weekend markets were canceled, and so they were still our lifeline, our backbone to operating. It was that kind of weekend. We know what income is coming in. So when those were canceled, we decided that we were going to focus on our e-commerce and our online business. Now, that was something we never did. It was more of a, okay, this is who we are, and you can find us at markets and come eat sandwiches at our shop. But it wasn't like, buy Sprelly on my website. So we started to change our focus, because can't do anything about those canceled markets, can't get upset and can't freak out. What can I do to change or pivot? And so we started to learn about what we can do for ourselves for the e-commerce side of it. Now, although it sounds like a nice percentage increase, it was still, the dollar amount was still, was enough to just keep us afloat. And overall for the year, we were down, and we were down like probably all businesses. But having said that, we watched our online sales go from 2019 to 2020, we grew 330%.
Fantastic.
So it was one of those, oh, okay, like, so things are changing. People are getting accustomed to more kind of online stuff, and we were not focusing on our online. So let's take what people are looking at because of the situation today, which is online shopping and kind of remote working and virtual this, that, and the other, to how do we jump over to that part as well, and make that connection. So it was last year was a learning process, but there was enough of an increase from not really doing it to, oh, we focused a little bit to say, okay, we can put the whole force of the business into that idea. And we're currently redoing our website, so it will become a little more fresh looking, a little easier to see what it is we're doing, and then the product is really going to be kind of jumping out at you more. So we're retooling the website. We're going to start doing some SEO, Google keyword search terms, and we're hoping we can realize another dramatic increase like we did last year.
Amazing. So I'm looking forward to seeing your new updated website.
Thank you.
That would be fantastic. So well done to you. it's not the time, I think for a lot of people, they kind of felt that they had to opt out of their businesses and there was no way out. But when we face adversity, like we have in the past year, that's the time where you have to really say to yourself, what can I change? How can I get my product in front of my customers? So I can't go to farmers markets. What else can I do? And kind of in a very roundabout way, it's been an opportunity for a lot of businesses, for those business owners who are open to change, which is
Yes.
vital. You have to be open to change, to be in business and to remain in business and to remain relevant. It's been an opportunity. I've heard some really incredible stories of opportunities that people would have never thought of without the adversity that
Right.
was kind of placed in front of them last year, and possibly you wouldn't even be online. So now you've had an opportunity to, I'm sure, expand your market beyond the reach of the areas that you spoke about earlier. So there's a gift in that.
We see orders come in from all over, Washington State and California and Texas. And it's just one of those, like, I'm this little mom and pop shop in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Like, how did you guys hear of us? So it's really, really cool. And I become very curious as to, okay, well, how can we do more of this? And how can we, broaden our reach and connect with more customers? Because obviously we're seeing little bits of it. So it's exciting to see these little trails, and we want to really kind of, march down them and kind of explore what we can find.
Yeah, that's really super exciting, actually. A lot of, sounds as though a lot of windows of opportunity are opening up to you with regards to your market, which is amazing. If honestly, if it wasn't a heavy jar of food, I would order it here, but I wouldn't trust it coming all the way. But if I lived in the States, believe me, I'd be a customer for sure. Adrian, what would you say was kind of the biggest milestone or the biggest thing that you're proud of that you've achieved in your business? If you could name one special particular thing.
I love that question. It's a great question. And there are so many, I mean, it's, it ties in with everything, meaning the community, the how, in my particular case, it was born out of a local business contest and then embraced by the community. I mean, that for me was something very powerful to be a part of. Like, it was overwhelming and it's humbling. Um, and so I'm very grateful for the support of my community. I'm very grateful of the customers that I met. I mean, my first sale, when people come over, like, what is this? I'm like, white chocolate almond butter. They're like, can I try some? I'm like, okay, I hope you like it. And then they're like, this is phenomenal, I want to buy 4 of them. And it's like, whoa, that's kind of a moment. But I would think, for me personally, in terms of choices, in terms of what I think really initiated and kicked all this off, was after I got I didn't, so that business plan contest, I didn't win, but it was pitched at an auditorium of 200 people, and they got to vote, and I won the People's Choice Award.
Wow.
So that was a validating moment. And then I was doing a lot of internal reflecting and questioning, and it came to, I know what a job is, and I know who I am, and I know how I am as a person and what I want out of life. And I know that a job does wonderful things like provide stability for, home, kids, family, whatever your choices are in life. But for me, I wasn't fully happy. I was probably like 80 or 85% happy, because I think there's that, I'm not doing exactly what I want to be doing to myself, or my time isn't my time, because I'm constricted. And so the decision, after getting validated, after saying, I think people believe in this, I would rather be happy and fail at this idea than go work at another job. And so it's just been one of those, hey, failure, who cares about it? I'm going to learn and get better and keep grinding it out, no matter how sticky things get, like, just keep grinding it out, because it's all my choice. It's today, if I wanted to crawl in my bed and surround myself with pillows because I did not feel like getting up today, I can do that. If I wanted to go make 17,000 pounds of peanut butter today, I can do that. And that, now I can say this 6, 7, 8 years after this, that choice of, I want happiness. I don't care. I want to be happy. Let me take a chance on myself in this particular case. I would say that can transpose, if that's the right word, to anybody and everybody. What do you want out of life? I think most people say, I just want to be happy. Okay, well, what does that look like for you? I mean, do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a mechanic? Do you just want to live by yourself in a cabin in the woods? Well, okay, work at it. Do what you got to do. Don't be afraid of failure, and just figure it out along the way. I'm still an unemployed sales guy who got his experience going door to door selling office supplies with no food experience. And I'm operating, I think, a pretty cool brand, a cool food brand. So for me, it's that, the choice of, what do I want to do? And I want to pursue that happiness. So I think that was probably the big moment that has now set off what has become a lot of other big moments, which have all been humbling.
That's really beautiful, Adrian. Thanks for sharing that. That's very inspiring to hear that you're doing something that you're passionate about, something that makes you happy, something that makes your heart sing. I mean, that's really what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
We should be doing what makes our heart sing, whatever that is, whether it's,
Whatever
sweeping the
that is.
street, or it doesn't matter. It's about you and what feels good and feels right for you. So thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. You were saying that you learned along the way, and that kind of leads into my next question that I want to ask you. Any sort of big pitfalls that you've gone through where you've had a big lesson, where you've really learned something that's been valuable to you in your business? Anything you'd like to share?
That's another good question. Any pitfalls, any big valuable lessons? I mean, I honestly, I don't think I can find anything, because every big moment has been significant for me in a positive way. I try to eliminate any ego that I may have. I walk into any space or any room of people, and I just immediately say, I know I'm not the smartest one in this room. What can I go learn? Who can I learn from, and what kind of knowledge can I absorb? So whether it was getting critical feedback on my initial label designs, or someone saying they don't like a flavor, it doesn't turn into anything other than, okay, well, how do I make it better?
Yeah, it's
Right?
just been it sounds as though it's been a process for you. It's not one particular thing. It's been a process from what you're describing, am I right? And a series of events that have just brought you to where you're at now.
I seek those out. I seek out everything and anything I can get my hands on in terms of that. So yes, it's a process. So give me the feedback, tell me what you think, or just come and be happy with me. But I'm on my mission, and all that information to me, it's like, you've heard the term of throwing spaghetti against the wall. So like, see what sticks, and the goal is still to do it and to go. So eventually you can keep the pieces of spaghetti you want and toss the ones you don't want, but it's all the same to me. So it's just, yeah, it's just a process. And uh I have a thing that I say to my kids. Even I'm not going to get mad, just just get better at it. I'm not going to yell at you for misbehaving. I'm going to point out what I believe to not be the right thing, and please get better at what it is you're doing. Like, don't leave your dish on the table. Get better at it. Come over, put it in the sink. So I take that same philosophy with the business, which is every day I got to get better at something. If I don't understand this, I got all this zoning paperwork I got to do for the city. I don't understand any of it. I actually, and we can get into this if you want, I actually failed out of the business school in college. So I'm not good with that stuff, but I'm going to try to work hard at it. And thankfully, I have the best partner in the world, my wife, and she is such a sturdy rock and an ace when it comes to this stuff. So when I talk about all my big dreams and desires and, oh, we're gonna take over the world, she's like, oh, okay, we have to fill this paperwork out first. So like, we help each other just get better every single step of the way, because if you just focus your energy on that, then pitfalls, experiences, failures, successes, in my opinion, all kind of become the same because of what I'm working towards.
What really sound advice. I mean, that is really sound advice.
Thanks.
For entrepreneurs, just get better at what you're doing. If you just had to get a little bit better each day, imagine what you'd accomplish in a year. So that is a really great philosophy. I love that philosophy, Adrian. So that brings me to some advice I'd like from you for the viewers. Based on everything that you've said today and all your experience, if you had to give other entrepreneurs in whatever business they're in some advice and say to them, start doing this today, start taking these steps today in your business, what would it be?
To take the steps. Take the steps.
Take action.
Whatever it is, right? And everyone's goals are different. Everyone has different inspirations. Everyone has a different view on what life is or can be or what they wish it to be. But you got to take those steps, and I also personally, I operate with as much like love and kindness in everything I do. So some folks might get a little worked up because they have to go through this permitting process and, oh, they're giving me a hard time because of this, that, and the other. I try to just take every second of my life with positivity and think of happiness. And you got to know that, they're going to be hard days. They're going to be days where you just don't feel like doing stuff. And that's okay. Like that's I think also a part a lot of people forget, where it's okay to be like, yo, like I'm just gonna take a couple naps today because that's all I'm capable of doing. Okay, then get up the next day, take action, and work hard, and just do it and learn, and just keep grinding. It's you got to keep grinding at what it is you're doing. That's if you're interested in personal growth and all that other stuff. Some people, they're totally cool with their lives. So if you're an entrepreneur, just keep grinding.
Thank you for that. I like the just do it. That's basically it. The best laid plans in the world are just that, and the best ideas in the world are just that. But if you do nothing about it, you don't take action,
I,
nothing will ever happen.
and sorry to interrupt, I'll give you a perfect example. So how we originally met, I follow entrepreneurs and CEOs and all those things on Twitter because I want to see what kind of nuggets of information these successful people will offer for anything, life, business. I mean, all these guys talk about happiness and kind of being true to yourself. And so Marcus Lemonis, who is the CEO of Camping World, and he has the television show The Profit, he posted something on Twitter about uh, giving money from a Wall Street account with Robinhood to small business, and you just, whoever's going to make their best pitch will win the money. All right, just do it. It's one of those, you just take the action. Just, all right, we are a gourmet peanut butter and jelly thing, basically, and I didn't have to do that. I could have gone to bed, but let me see what happens. Take some action. You know, what happens if I do this? And for me, that's very exciting because I think a lot of people get stuck at, well, what if it doesn't work? Or what if you become a failure? Or what if blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like you do it, you try to analyze all the consequences. Obviously, you're not going to do anything terrible, but it's one of those, just do it and go with it. And if it fails, then figure out why and keep moving. So
Really awesome.
that's what led us
Really,
to us, right? If I didn't take action, then you wouldn't have, reached out and I wouldn't have responded. So, and look where we are today. I mean, this
yeah,
has
it's
been,
amazing.
yeah.
Really, really amazing. And by the way, for the audience, just so that you can let them know, you reached out to Marcus when he was offering this assistance. And what was the outcome?
So I don't know if we've won, but he was incredibly gracious and he had offered us a $5,000 budget to work with a advertising and marketing branding agency down in Miami. And he's done work with this company or he's affiliated with them through and with his show. So he gifted us the brand to work with this amazing company to kind of understand our story and the goal of what we're trying to do. And we had that meeting yesterday. So we're hopefully going to find out some pretty exciting stuff here within a week or so. And, I'm going into that remaining open. I'm very interested to see what a company that specifically does consumer packaged good products and foodie things, what we're doing. I'm very excited to see what a professional agency is going to do with my concept because up until this point, it's just been the husband-wife team, and we don't have the resources to go after or hire an agency like this. So having Marcus notice the pitch, notice the brand, and then make this offer it's been a tremendous experience, and certainly it's been one of the top highlights of what we've done over the past couple of years. So this is exciting for us and we're happy to see where it's going to go.
Really super exciting. I mean, that's you walking your talk. And that's why I'm so pleased. Thank you for sharing that with the audience because you're saying just do it. And you have experience, you just did it. And look how it worked out for you. And
Right.
if he'd never responded to you, you wouldn't have lost anything. He wouldn't have responded.
Right.
But because you took action, um, look at this, you never know what opportunity is going to come out of this. So really exciting times for you and your brand to see what you can do going forward. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you. And I'm excited that I saw you there and I reached out to you, which is also not the place that I would normally reach out to guests at all. Something just felt easy and comfortable and right. I was just like, I have to have this guest on my show because this is going to be somebody interesting. I kind of just intuitively knew. And you have been incredibly interesting and you've shared so much with us. And I could talk to you, honestly, I could go on for another hour, seriously. Um, But in wrapping up, Adrian, is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share with the audience? Or do you think we've covered everything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, would what childhood inspirations and things like that matter at all, or
You can tell us something personal about yourself for sure. I mean, um, anything you'd like to share at all. Like,
well,
what's your favorite book or what's a childhood inspiration, whatever you want to share. This is your time.
right, okay, so when I was born and raised in South Florida, and the area where I am from, I went to a really nice uh, uh, you know, nice upbringing. And growing up in that time in like the 80s and 90s, there was this company that was growing and growing and growing. It was called Tire Kingdom. And way back, I believe in even the 1960s or 70s, there was a guy who started selling tires out of the back of his pickup truck. And then he formed a store called Tire Kingdom. And then he formed many stores around Florida. And I think he eventually sold it to a big tire company for hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know at all actually, but he sold it for a lot of money. Well, I grew up with his sons. You know, we all went to the same school, and so in that area, you know, all of our parents are doctors and lawyers and, you know, executives and just real smart type of folks. And I'm looking around at all of these inspirational people going like, I don't know if I can hack it to be a doctor, or I don't know if I can, you know, go to law school because I don't think that's who I am. But this guy who sold tires out of a pickup truck and he built this huge business, that sounds like something that I might be able to do one day. And so that was kind of the early inspiration of what I wanted to do with myself, because it just sounded better or easier, or I'd much rather try to sell tires out of the back of a pickup truck than go to medical school. So, you know, that was something that it was just in my mind as I was figuring out all my little entrepreneurial ideas. And in college, I wanted to study business and ended up failing out of the business school. And that landed me into taking some theater courses to try to get my GPA up. But it made me discover that I was a creative. So I really got into communications, theater, some philosophy. I almost got a philosophy minor. And I think that the combination of that educational background and the inspiration, but then my sales experience after college is what really kind of helped me, you know, formulate 30 years later. You know, I'm 41, 42 years old right now. So, you know, I've been scratching away at this whole thing called life for 30 years and trying to draw in as to what has been inspiring for me and what's my own skill set. I know I will never be a lawyer. I will never be a doctor. That's just not in my skill set, but I'll go knock on doors. I'll go talk to people. That's what I love to do. So, but that was just a, you know, early inspiration to kind of who and where and how I've come to be.
Yeah, fantastic. How absolutely awesome. Thank you for sharing that really personal kind of part of your life with us and what inspired you.
Happy
I
to do it.
definitely think that you've been a very inspiring guest to have on the show. And before I say goodbye to you, I'd just like to ask you, where can people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you, see your brand, order?
So we are, and thank you for that, and of course, thank you for having me on, because this has been a real cool experience, and I'm grateful for it. But we're all over. We're all social media. Our website is sprelly.com. You can see sprelly.com, and we're also on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And my handles are ilovesprelly.com, which you can see on my shoulder. So it's I love Sprelly and that's on Instagram. But you can just find us on the internet.
Okay, super. And people can order from there. And what I'm going to do for you, Adrian, is I'm going to make sure that all of that appears on the video so that people can jot down where to get hold of you. So as I said, I could talk to you for another hour, but I guess you need to go on with your day. And I am just super, super grateful to you. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, hearing about your journey. I feel really inspired. I really mean that. And want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making time to appear on the show. Thank you, Adrian.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much. And who knows? Maybe we can reconnect in a year's time, and I'll say, hey, now guess where we are? We're all over the place. We could see where we go from there. So
I'd love to know. I'd love to know. So that's awesome. Thanks, Adrian. Take care.